Hi, my name is Bill Wiese. I'm the author of the book 23 Minutes in Hell. Thank you for joining me. I want to talk to you today about being rescued from the pit. Now, whenever we face trials and difficulties, the devil will make you feel as though all hope is gone, that the darkness will never lift, that there is no way out of this mess, and so forth. But do not entertain those negative, evil thoughts. The Bible instructs us to trust in the Lord for His rescue, His wisdom, and His help. No matter what we face, Jesus promised to never leave us nor forsake us. Now, there is always hope when we put our trust in God. Now, let's take a look at a true account in the Bible and the very challenging circumstance this person faced. When he placed his faith in God, he experienced God's miraculous intervention. Now, there are many of these true accounts throughout the Bible. We're just going to look at the one. Today, we will look at Joseph, who was mocked, rejected, and thrown into the pit by his brothers, left to die. Genesis 37, verses 18 through 22 says, "Now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near, they conspired against him to kill him. Then they said to one another, 'Look, this dreamer is coming. Come therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit. And we shall say, some wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what will become of his dreams.' But Reuben, his brother, heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, 'Let us not kill him.' And Reuben said to them, 'Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit, which is in the wilderness.' Now his brothers were envious of him, as their father favored him. In addition, Joseph told them about his dreams in which he was actually ruling over them. Well, this only infuriated them further. On with the story. So it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers, then they took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty, and there was no water in it. Then his brothers said, 'Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites.' And they took Joseph to Egypt, the Ishmaelites. So the brothers took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of goats, and dipped the tunic in the blood. Then they sent the tunic of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, 'We have found this. Do you know whether it is your son's tunic or not?' And he recognized it and said, 'It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him.' And without doubt, Joseph is torn into pieces. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son many days. So the brothers lied to their father and let him be in anguish and great despair. Now the Midianites had sold him to Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Now, to summarize the rest of the story, Joseph prospered with all his work in Potiphar's house and was promoted over all his house, business, and his belongings. But Potiphar's wife had her eyes on Joseph because he was good looking, and she pursued him every day to have sex with her. But Joseph continually refused. Well, one day, when no one was around, she grabbed his coat from him and then screamed, making it seem as if he had tried to attack her. She falsely accused him to her husband Potiphar. So he placed Joseph in a prison. So for several years in prison, then Joseph again ended up in charge of the prison and was trusted to manage all the prisoners. So God blessed him even in prison. Now one day, the king's butler and baker were also cast into prison. They each had a dream, and Joseph interpreted each dream. It came to pass that both interpretations were correct, as God has revealed to Joseph. Now sometime later, Pharaoh restored the butler to his position, just as Joseph had said. And the baker was killed by Pharaoh's command, just as Joseph said. Now afterward, Pharaoh had two dreams that greatly troubled him. And he called for the magicians of Egypt and all his wise men, but they couldn't interpret the dreams. Well, the butler told Pharaoh about Joseph. So Pharaoh summoned Joseph. So God then revealed to Joseph both the dreams and the interpretation. Well, Pharaoh was so impressed that he promoted Joseph to second in command over all of Egypt. In addition, God gave Joseph a plan to save all of Egypt from the coming 7-year drought that the dreams forewarned. Now, when the drought hit, Joseph had stored up enough food for everybody, as was the plan God had given him. Now, Joseph's family was now without food, so they came to Egypt seeking to buy grain. Well, they had to deal with Joseph, but they didn't recognize him. He didn't reveal who he was. Now, the story gets really interesting from here on, but to sum it up, Joseph finally revealed himself. He told his brothers who he was, and he forgave them, and he provided food for them all. Now, he told them that he loved them, and he meant it. Now, the lesson is that because Joseph obeyed God and led a life of honor, God put him in a position that he could provide for God's people. And the other lesson is that Joseph forgave where it would be not easy to do so. You know, God has forgiven us of all our sins, so we are to forgive others also. Now, I'm sure whatever most of you may be facing, it isn't as bad as being thrown into a pit with no food or water and sold to evil men, falsely accused, and then thrown into a prison that was like a dungeon. Now, if God will deliver him, God will help you through your darkest hour. Call on him today.